running it back again. Well, what'd you expect? Coming up to bring 10 out of 10. Got a real rough next. Mike's up his livery, his raps on his shoes. Guess he's the best there ever was, haven't you heard the news? Intergalactic continental champ, running things. Hyperactive, instrumental in pulling strings. He is the one who understands when the tides will swing. So he's breaking down doors, never following. Come on and psych yourself up, cause it's time to play. Bounce to the beats and the rhymes, cause they're here to stay. The one and only marathon man, living the day. Rolling up, coming fast, and they'll blow you away. Because the pressures of this world, they can take their toll. And it's tough to get away when they take the hold. The only way to break free is to break the mold. You can't stop now, lock and load.
In this world, where life is strong. In this world, life's an open book. In this world, where compromise does not exist. In his world of worlds, every step meets the rest. In this world, where one is all. In this world, never fear the fall. In this world, where compromise does not exist. In his world of worlds, every step meets the rest.
Light the fuse on his rocket and he's ready to go. Cause now the countdown is started and he's ready to blow. Intergalactic continental champ, running things. Hyperactive, instrumental in pulling strings.
you could shine.
Well, hello there, Fluffy. Hi, I'm fucking scrambling to get the fuck ready. Give me a second. I'm eating my apples.
And you could shine.
You know what? We have a new person here. You know what that means? It's time for me to rummage around through my ancient playlist and find something neat on YouTube. One moment, everyone. You know what? This? Nope, it's not that. Hey, there we go! Hope you like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Running it back again, well, what'd you expect? Coming up to bring 10 out of 10. Got a real rough blast, mic's up, his livery, his raps on his shoes. Guess he's the best there ever was, haven't you heard the news? Intergalactic continental champ, running things. Hyperactive, instrumental in pulling strings. He is the one who understands when the tides will swing. So keep breaking down doors, never fall away. Come on and suck yourself up, cause it's time to play. Bounce with the beats and the rhymes, cause they're here to
Hello,
stay.
sir!
Man, living the day, rolling up, coming fast, and they'll pull you away. Because the pressures of this world, they can take their toll, and it's time to get away when you take
Great
the
job.
hold.
My water bottle is empty!
You can't stop now, lock and load.
Hi, Zark. Welcome to the traditional shitpost intro of my stream.
Life's an open book in this world. Where compromise does not exist in this world of worlds. Every step meets the rest. In this world where one is all. In this world, never fear the fall. In this world, where compromise does not
It reminds me to
exist in
eat
this
because I forget to eat a lot.
Every step meets the rest.
Like the fuse on his rocket and he's ready to go. Cause now the countdown is started and it's ready to blow.
Are you ready? Come on! Hands. Hi! 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 Oh, where's my midsection? There we go. Hi! I'm thick. Why is it so much? Because it needs to be, or people would redeem it like... It's also a funny number. Hang on. I mean, I am a dog, so. Wait. If you're listening to music like this, you know what we need? Am I gonna regret showing me that? Okay, good. You can't see it. Thank fuck you can't see it. There's we. Perfect. I didn't fuck it up. There we go. Oh my god, it works so well! Oh, that works way too well. Hang on. Oh god. Hang on. Thank you. Hang on. No, you know what? This one's new. Hi. The head's a bit small, but I can't really fix that on my own. I'd have to, like, mess with the thing, so I'm gonna... Here, hang on. Everybody! Channel your inner Oliver Tree. No, no. Oh, God. Hey, can someone come over here, like, brush my hair out of my face, please? Like, my VRM's hair. This ain't gonna work. What, on my nose? I mean... I look like somebody's mom. Hang on, let's see. What do I have? Oh... I mentioned Oliver Tree, and... Hi. Digital Deer! Welcome on in. How you doing, hon? I am upset how well this works, considering it's literally just a flat PNG. Okay, I'm gonna stop fucking around now, and I'm gonna start finding out about Kingdom Hearts. There we go. Oh, wow. Home of Air? That's already an established nickname. I think literally one... You're drowning in unit test? Okay, you know what? Hush up. It's time for Vare music, which isn't much different, but still actually different. There we go. Oh, I think this is the only Vare VRM that has this canonical haircut. This is Vare's winter haircut when she just, like, gets, like, big fuck off mutton chops. Hang on. Ooh, you can hear that I'm still sick in my throat. But okay. If you know what album this is from, you could probably figure out how I turned out to be a horror writer. Ooh, let's use my actual, like, intro song for once. Right, let's boot the game up. I love how it was like, hey everybody, this is gonna be a quite low energy stream, and it's like, what, you're just gonna yell less? And I'm like, shut up. Come on, come on. Ah, bitch. Also, hello, welcome to my stream. I curse so much. No fucking way! I know, it's fucking crazy, isn't it? Like, goddamn. Okay. Hi. God, I'm sorry I don't believe you. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. We don't need to get into that on my stream. At least not this specific one. Hang on. Let's do the Pride Puppy. I like the Pride Puppy. Well, it's the Bapper, so the shape is a bit interesting because the shoulders are so. I'm not gonna use this avatar. You know what? What's this? There we go. I would say how fucking dare you swear, but yeah, it didn't go so fucking well, did it? Okay, no. Listen, I taught my Army Airborne veteran husband and owner to curse. That's my fault. Okay, let's. All right, everybody, are you ready to Sora your Kingdom Hearts? Is it gonna be the right game for the first time ever in history? Every floof say fuck. Fuck. Hi, Disney. How is this music still so loud? That's Kingdom. When she Kingdom all over my heart. What? Don't ever ask me to make a joke. It's the best, worst thing you can ever do. Oh, right. What? Hello? Why don't we try these? What, are we gonna try to force reactivate his brain? What? So, actually, you know what? The music in this part is the only part that got muted last time, so... We're gonna drown this bitch out, because I don't feel like getting my hilarious funny jokes. Oh my god. I mean, when you find a Dom, let me know. Wait. It's literally 20 minutes into the stream. I mean, same.
See ya.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, I did it. Hey. Criminal. Sora gets violent urges. It's like a VR chat world! Hang on, I know the perfect music for this. Up. This is the Wobble Dog soundtrack. Perfect.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? It's just a random ass castle. How is this supposed to help us?
What's wrong, Sora?
The perspectives. Nothing. I went to art school. But how? I've never been off my island.
Sora's never been off the island, but in my canon, apparently went to art school. I bless the rains down there. Oh no, this is like... It's me giving myself a bunch of bullshit. It's my friends picking me up and throwing me because I asked. That's a gorilla. Me fighting my friends and finding out. Light the stove. Okay. Africa in a bamboo tent moment? Oh god. You know the one thing I always remember when somebody mentions that song? Oh, you can see you can see my fingers on the fingers. Is that Weezer made a cover that everybody agrees is kind of okay of that song that I absolutely hate. I legitimately feel they ruined that song. I found the dog in a box! It's me! Ah! Oh god, not this again. Not this again. Kingdom Hearts, you know. Or get out. Sora! Honey, come on, precious. The theme of little fellas everywhere? Yeah, we might play some Wobble Dogs in a bit, because, you know, I would prefer to, you know, if I'm gonna suffer being sick, I'm gonna do it like every, like, modern child everywhere, even though I'm, like, you know, so far removed from being a child now. And just, yeah, that's the best way to put it. And, like, I don't like Weezer anymore, especially after the Black Album, because I'm like, you're multi-million-dollar musicians singing about how much driving Uber sucks. It's just the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard. It's like, hello, people of the world, I relate to your struggles. It's like, no, you don't. You haven't since the 90s. Oh. Tear down the imperialism symbol! Fuck him up! No mercy! There's a Union Jack in the vicinity. That means I'm gonna be unnecessarily brutal to the surrounding area. Yeah, not even like that. It's just like they probably haven't used they haven't used an Uber ever, probably. Like, bluntly. Because they were, like, already famous by the time cell phones were a thing? I guess? I don't know. I just... People being fake irks me, because it is something I am incapable of doing. I had no idea there was a Kofu in our chat. Hi, hello, no surprise. I enjoy watching Kofu. Uber is a fairly... Yeah, it super is. So, what do I do? Kofu is delightful. They're also a fucking hella sculptor. They're just Australian, and despite my sleep habits being apocalyptically terrible, I rarely get the chance to watch Kofu. You could view the slides with the projector. I think there may be one more. Thanks. Woo! My new caller gets in tomorrow. I just realized I will be posting pics in the Discord for sure. Find the recipe guide too. Oh.
Thunder!
Caller, yes. Like, actual caller.
See ya!
The stove has been lit. The bonfire's been lit. Yeah. Yeah, caller. So, Vincent Mel, this scuba right here is, just straight up legit my owner. Like, yeah. Oh, I forgot. 1 second, I'm actually gonna post pictures of the thingy and the thingy. Caller on the Discord. That's how normal people say that. And I apologize, I'm going to be extremely distractible right now because I don't feel good. What about that is the about. You're my owner. That's it. Okay, let's put in pictures. Don't post those, Jesus God. Yeah, if you go and pics in the Discord, you can see the caller that's en route to me. You come here for ADHD? Well, good, because you ain't getting anything else. You know what? ACDC. Sir. Please. Okay, Wobble Dog's music's gonna put me to sleep. So,
Things could be the way they were before. Everything would be just fine. If things could be the way they were before, I'll still be stuck in the grind. You gotta take a chance and throw it
wibble
away.
wobble your height, yeah. Sleepy bobbies.
If you want to go on enjoying your days, it will be something you'll miss. Every day's the same. I just want to be
I did light the stove.
I want to every day's the same. Sometimes it drives me insane. Let me have
What do I do?
Blah, 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 blah. I actually am legitimately upset you can't turn the music off all the way. That's probably a licensing thing. to be honest. Like, they aren't allowed to do that. Which is stupid. Yeet Spiggy. Sora Kingdom Hearts. Sora Kingdom Hearts. Da-da-da-da-da. So F. My phone vibrated. Oh, I didn't know that's true. I didn't know that's a thing. Wowee. And they can't like rip it off of the disc. I don't know how that stuff works. Spin. Ow! Okay, I might have to look up a guide to see what the hell to do here, because I assume I'm just stuck. Oh, we're getting into stuff I literally listened to when I was in college. Sorry. I'm afraid of you. Where the fucking shit is everything I need? Cool. Get off the pole! Put the potion in the pot quickly. Oh, God. Hey, did it! I'm actually, you know what? Screw this. I'm looking up a guide. I don't like getting stuck here because I feel like it kills the energy. And also, I have no patience, so...
One moment, David, about that.
Oy. Okay. Ooh, yeah! Ba-ba-da-ba. I really like the Durgadol Bear. Definitely because I did a great job on the teeth, and bluntly, teeth are my thing. Like, not... Nope, I'm not gonna continue that. Anything else I say is gonna make... Hey! Badger! Thank you so much, hon!
Egg.
Great job.
My water bottle is empty! Wait, no. I know how I can make, like, a good portion of my audience. Feel weird, like Robin Hood style. Also, yes, everybody, we are actually here. And the only reason I am actually streaming today, because I don't feel good, is because we are currently doing a charity stream week for the Trans Empowerment Project. So, if you could donate, please donate. Spend within your means, but if you can donate, please donate, because we've already smashed past like the first two goals. The next one is 69, 69, 69, and we have 1 or 2 days to get there. So if you could donate, please donate. Any money you were planning to give to me, like through bits or subs or anything, please just give to the charity right now. It'll be used better, bluntly. More people will be able to access it. More people will be able to get something out of it. Please, just... If you can, just... Okay, let's, Ooh, I got that jiggle physics. And it's like, good jiggle physics. I already... It is actually maddening that I can slightly hear both sets of music. That is actually... Oh. I'm a goober. I grew up in this era. Well, I was already like... I have memories of when the PlayStation 1 came out. Xavier! Welcome on in, hun. Oh, you can't see. Sorry. Sorry. I am actually gonna change to a... So basically, I was gonna make this one my body type as well, like my IRL body type, but I'd have to open it in Blender because it does the thing where if you animate the face, so like the gut gets all weird. So instead, we'll do Mama Dwagon. Because like, I had friends and probably still have friends whose moms look like that, and that is not a bad thing. Alright. Whimker. Yeah, Whimker. Actually, you know what? The Wicker doesn't get enough love, so I'm going to stop being into sci-fi. We're gonna do the Wicker. There we go. Because yes, I love Wickers. I should make a bespoke Wicker instead of just Wicker Bear. I think I did once? Yeah, Azimuth. Azimuth is my bespoke Wicker. Bo!
Where are my friends? Riku and Kyrie.
Memories of seafaring in camp.
That leaves just one place. Young
Oh,
man,
my, no.
We've been in this jungle for some time now. But we have yet to encounter these friends of yours. I'd wager they're with the gorilla.
I love that he just... Hey! Digital deer! Oh, thank you so much, son! Ah!
Then take us there. Take us to the gorillas. Gorillas.
Oh no.
Tarzan is just like, I have an engineering degree. Stop talking to me like that. I don't care if you're C-suite. Stop talking to me like that.
He must be the leader. Perfect. I'll go
This is
along
Kingdom
with
Hearts. It's a shit post, but like,
After all, the
no, this
jungle
is literally
the
just
same.
Kingdom Hearts. There's not a single mod. Yeah, this is Kingdom Hearts. This is Kingdom Hearts. It's like actually pretty good. Why don't... Yes, it is vanilla Kingdom Hearts. Who published this? Square Enix. I love that you said Wish.com. For why? Okay, so what I've heard is that the story is literally like 2 executives, one from Squeenix, one... Jesus God! Ow!
Come on!
Like And it's not that bad to play either. Ow, bitch. Like, it's one of the better PS2 games I've played. Then again, the last time I first got a PlayStation 2 last year. I'll put it that way. Are we good? Let me guess, y'all can hear the music even more now. And guess what? After we finish this game, we're just gonna go right on to Kingdom Hearts 2. Child attacks you. Yeah, you can hear the music. God damn it. Every day's the same. Ooh, we're getting to that edgy fucking... Hang on. I grew up in the, like... My first console was an NES. I'll put it that way. Ooh, this is the good Renard stuff. Played Shade of Moon, I own that. Oh, this is the most deliciously 2009, like, furry music ever. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Listen to that, that's like... Oh. Sora is that one kid who thinks they can dance when they're like 10. Okay, this is actually like defeating my brain. So chat, you know what we're gonna do? Is we're gonna save and we're gonna like go to a game that doesn't require me to melt my brain. And by that, I mean use my brain. And what better game for a puppy to play than Wobble Dogs? Jesus God, this music. So, Weeble wobble. But they don't fall down. Well, sometimes they fall down a lot, actually. So much. Wobble dogs, wobble dogs. I'm dying. I'm not dying. I'm fine. Why do I don't know. I shouldn't, like, I don't. Blah. 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 I say blah. Wobble. Wobble. Wait, what was that? Is there like a, what? Hello? Oh, that was like a week ago. I need someone to come help me and like fill my water bottle or bring me some water or something, please. Sure. Isa. Hello? Properties. Okay. Where's your bot? It's in here with me, sir. Oh, that's some clipping right there. Whoa. There's your beans. I'm dying. Hello, sir. Hello. Why is there no sound options? The sound of improving mental health. Oh. Well, there's my off-camera name. Like, there's my name. Oops. Which... I'm assuming it's... Ah... Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wait, it's not... Hang on. Oh, that's big fucking thunder outside. Fuck the fuck, yeah. It's not this one. Okay. Wait, chat, do we want to start fresh? Ooh, why am I getting so crunchy? Hello? You know what? Considering I'm a different... There you goober. We're gonna start new. How about that? Huh? Well, bobble dogs. Wow. We're gonna start fresh, okay? Also, bluntly, just because you saw my real name does not mean call me that. Only very special people get to call me that. People I implicitly trust, because that is literally like the name I like sign shit with. So, unless I give you explicit permission to call me that, just call me Bear. Look, I love this game so much. Who's it go but me? Me. First, let's go ahead and get you with the dog to play with. Am I the dog to play with? Mingle. No, we're gonna name you Douglas. That is actually a stream meme, by the way. A very old one, but that is a stream meme. Turn dog death off yet? Options. Dogless. Dogless, that's so much better. Basically, like when I was originally a VR chat streamer, like the first time, anytime I would like meet like just a lethal creature or like something like that, I just name it Douglas, no matter what. I'm gonna call this one Douglas. Okay, I know how to play. I know how to play, she says, probably immediately forgetting how to play. You go Fimfy. Stop it! No! Eat the frib. Eat the... Douglas. Consume treat. I give you pets. 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 Eat it. Consume. Please. Please consume. Am I getting crunchy? It's time to puppy! Puppy. I shouldn't do that, I'm sick. Mutation up. Dogless. The girth went down, but the length. Nope. Nope. Anthem Visengon? Ah! Wait, is that like immediately a million times better? Hang on. No. That is immediately a million times better. I'll keep it at 1080 for y'all. So y'all can like look at me and look at the game. Actually, let's see options. Oh, that's like a million times better! Yay! Unplug this. That should ache. Oh yeah, that's a billion times better. Okay, what are we naming this goober? I leave it up to you, Chet. There's a severe thunderstorm warning. You want to be Oopie? Was the Oopie? Was the Oopie? Ah, it's me! Oh, me? Don't forget to save often. Okay. Oh, I am getting a little bit crazy. Play around and have fun. Okay. I vacuum you. Okay, cool. Up. Options. Okay. Dog death. No. Apply. There we go. But that's good enough. Blah. No, I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Douglas. I grabbed you. That's the stuff. Yeah, you're goddamn right. Randy! Foamham. Ivy. Have Foamham. Bavara's a Douglas? Oh, that's right. You can like grab it like Blender with middle mouse. I love that. I also know that RuneScape does that. Douglas, you good? Are you goofing off or are you? Yeah, you're goofing. Oh, Douglas, we're gonna be buddies. You're a goofy little shit, just like me. Well, Bob the dogs. So basically, the severe thunderstorm warning. This thunderstorm is either. Oh, look at you! Look at you! Oh, you're such a good boy. Oh, that's a good. Oh. This severe thunderstorm is either gonna totally kill my headache and I'm gonna feel great tomorrow, or I'm gonna be miserable. There's no in between. Weebo. Douglas. Yeet. Oh no! Oh no! That is no longer coffee. That is just sediment. Okay. This game is so good for my mental health. Me! Eat. No! Me! Eat. Grab it. I tried my best to grab the foam hem. You do your best, hon. You got this. Ow. Yes. Yeah. All dog-based life forms. That's me. I'm a dog-based life form because I'm a dog. Oh yeah, fuck it, get it. Fucking get. Oh. Wait. Yes. So they added an automation option, so no. Auto Pape! No. So this is their this is their automation mode that they added. There we go. So now we can just sit and watch. And I can talk with y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Allah. Allah. Bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-da-dum ba-da-dum. LTTP. What is that? I've never heard of that. Link to the Past! Oh, okay. Okay, I have heard of that. I have the, Did they make a Switch remake of that? Because I have one. I have one. Like, I have the cute one that everybody said I needed to play. That I need to play. Hey, automation. Enabling automation. Ooh! Link's Awakening. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Hanasaku! Thank you! I have a bunch of them. I'm moving them more towards being my actual body type. Because, hell yeah. Streamlets, I'm kind of annoyed at you and your payment options. Get out of here. Oh. like I have this one, and then I have this one, which I'm gonna need to figure out how to make the head bigger for, because like I look a bit. The head's too small, basically. The head and the shoulders are too small in this avatar. It's I look like a dinosaur. And then there's this one, of course, Mama the Wagon, which honestly is my favorite. And then quite soon, I hope, I'm gonna be getting the Rezuium, the non-made by Rezio one that was made by Hirozu. Because I love that avatar. I love that avatar so much. The Rezuium is so good. I've been messing with it constantly. And then I also have this one, which is kind of like... I really like this one because it's like a Naruto dragon, but like more canid. Yeah, the eyes... Yeah, it's a Toonie avatar. Like, let's see. I might have done that. Oh, and here's my actual main. It's the same as this one. Like, see, it's supposed to be like a puppy avatar. Like, so it's supposed to be small. Yeah. Oh, I am very... Hang on. There we go. Aw, they're both asleep. Yeah, it's this one. But this one is the actual Pride Pup. And then there's the one that most people, like, know me for, which is, oh god, there's Tenebrae. I'm never gonna use Tenebrae on stream. Wait, let's see. This is probably the edgiest character I have, considering they're the main antagonist of my entire lore universe. So, yeah. There's the Wagon Bear, which I love. There's Ricky. Then there's this one, but oh, this is the automaton one. Hi, I do VRM stuff for fun. This one, I'm pretty sure is the is a lot of people's favorite there. And I can't fault them for it. I'm very attractive. Yeah, like there's a redeem where you can like force me to pick. Like I have a bunch. Actually, you know what? Hang on. Yay, new baby! Hang on, let me turn a bunch of this shit on. Considering I'm just like basically chit chatting at this point. Actually, you know what? What we're gonna do right now is we're just gonna let this play, but we're also gonna go to Trigger Fire, and we're gonna remake some redeems. You know what? Actually, we're just gonna do just chatting now. Okay. Because I feel like getting work done, and when I'm in that mood, I'm gonna get work done. So, just chatting. Okay. Let me go with Twitch. Just wobbling. I mean, I do that most of the time. This can be a bit bigger, I think. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. So these are my redeems, and Polka probably has a copyright issue. Sounds. Oh, is Maximum Effort just dead? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into redeems, and we're gonna turn on music.
Listening? Okay.
And we are gonna name this. Where is Maximum Effort? Copy it. Oh, hi, you can't see me. The fact that I'm defaulting to this one says it's my favorite. Ooh, what snacks did you get? Maximum effort, save. Also, everybody. I don't know, on the bottom. I'm EP, so after we finish this, ooh, we're gonna do the classic thing of we watch 10-minute Power Hour on stream. Oh, the rigging is so good on these hands! Oh my god! Oh my god, that is good rigging! Wow! Okay. Yes. Okay, let's see. What is it?
Get up and stretch, you gremlin!
That is not it. It's not that. God, there's a lot of ones named Goop. It's this one, isn't it?
俺だってこのマイナス10度のところしじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ絶対やってみろ必ず目標達成できるだからこそネバーギブアップ
Ube moche. Ooh. Oh god. So that was, I'm assuming, extremely loud. Try that again.
俺だってこのマイナス10度のところしじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ絶対やってみろ必ず目標達成できるだからこそネバーギブアップ
You know how hard it was to find one of those that, didn't have the music in the background? Actually, not very. So, trigger fire, properties, wait. Filters. I need to pop one of these to see. Where the fuck is fucking Showbeans? There we go. Ooh, so everybody, I'm going to ask you to commit a dark deed, okay? Because I actually need to test that. So remember last time we tested that? Do your worst. It has no cooldown.
Great job.
Egg.
I mean show beans.
Oh no.
Sir. So that was my fault. Hi. That was my fault. I'm sorry. Okay. Last test, okay? There. Last I'm fine. I'll be fine. good enough. Okay, good. Jesus. Hey! Jesus. Y'all just... That was impressive. Okay, so that's fixed. I now need to make a, image for maximum effort. Ow, fuck. Ow, ow, god, ow. I'm not dying, I'm just still sick. Like, I am streaming while sick. Verkayat. Window capture. Studio Paint. I'm a Shadow too! Welcome on in. Thank you so much for the follow. How are you doing, hon? Oh, I know the perfect one. I am so fucking glad you cannot see the file browser right now. I just realized what was like front and center on my screen. So everybody, if you want to know, like, I do the thing where, like, in comics and stuff, different characters have, like, different speech fonts. Like, they have different fonts for their speech. And theirs, amusingly, hang on. Theirs is actually called Kinky. Like, just straight up. Where is it? KKKK. It's this one. And then... Oh, God. Yeah, it's called Kinky. And we'll turn that red. Bep. Bep. That looks fucking terrible. There we go. Actually, let's use a more punky, like... That looks like an album cover from 2008. Well, 2002. That's even edgier. That's fine. That's illegible. That's meh. Oh look, she's in Degrassi. I think I liked Help Me best. Help me! Help me, Leon! Alright, and then Oh, I know why. Okay. What other streamers show you them making assets on stream? I can name several of them. Use your brain, hun. There we go. I didn't have the text highlighted. I'm smart. Oh, God. There we go. Hey! Ba 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 ba. There we go. That's good enough for now. And then export as PNG. Their effort. Barf City, bitch. That's not how that song goes. Okay. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. Save. Attach sound. Oop.
俺だってこのマイナス10度のところしじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ。
Oh yeah.
絶対やってみろ。必ず目標達成できる。だから
I
こそ
adore my emotes. My favorite emotes are definitely the ones that Super Budsy made. Hey! That, and then... There's getting how you say... Oh. Hi, Terry. Hi, Terry. How you doing, man?
Up.
Bop. 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 Alright, now let's see. Wait, what? Hang on. Finish rewards. I'm dying. I'm not dying. Arya, arya, arya. Wait, what? Oh. Unpause. Yep. Yep. Oh, ooh, that's right. Y'all can force me to go, I'm not doing Otama speech today, I'm sorry. I don't think those do anything yet, so... But... Pickle. There you go! Y'all should have a bunch of stuff that you should be able to do now. Alright, and now what we're gonna do... A super copyrighted album. Well, kind of. And then we're gonna go... Didn't mean not the power hour. Dear fuck. And what we're gonna do... Okay, actually, chat, I will give you a choice. Do you want to watch... Actually, you know what? I can do the poll. What? Watch. VHS stuff, commercials, old, 10-minute power hour, duration 3 minutes. There you go, everybody. Vote in the poll, please. It's what they're watching. Ay. Vote in the poll, everybody. Commercials old. Sound of voting.
Get up and stretch, you gremlin!
I'm so glad that camera doesn't pick up what I'm actually doing. Hi, Figer. Oh wait, I'm actually like all set up for the heckin' Make Me 2D one. Look at the hand rigging on this. Look at that. Oh. Hi. But yeah, there should be a bunch of new stuff you can do. Wait, is Make Me 2D not even checked? Not heckin' doof property. Hang on. There's rewards. There we go. Okay, remain show up. Oh. Wait, that didn't turn into Speed Core. That scares me. There we go. How surprising! What you don't know about this avatar is on this avatar, Bear has leg freckles. You can see a couple of them on their leg. No, where leg freckles typically would be. Okay, we're watching commercials. Oh, my beans are not the best beans. Alright. Let's see what we got. I saw Grown Men in that title and boy. What year? Pick a year. We have found that anything like past like 2002, 2003 gets kind of just normal commercials, so yeah. Ow. Pick a year. Any year where there was broadcast television with lots of TV. Wait, lots of commercials. Oh god, Windows 95 video. I am going to dedicate the next stream to that. How about that? Just, that's a bit like I actually have to dedicate time to, like, yeah. It's all good. Okay. But yeah, pick a year. I will say I'm partial to the 90s. Because 90s. I'm more looking for like just compilations of commercials from like a specific year, basically like 1995 commercial compilation, that kind of thing. And it's running like a sieve. 90s or 2000s? Either, but we have kind of figured out that anything past like at most 2004 gets a bit just regular like commercials are now. I will say, the further back you go, the weirder they get. And, like, to the 80s... 80s commercials are fucking bonkers. Actually, you know what? Let's do 80s. 80s commercials. 98? Okay. $1998 commercials. Oh dear. I see Zima in Blockbuster, so we gotta. Wait, I recognize this intro. 70s? Yeah, we could just go back. Dave's Archives. Wait. Yeah, come on.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
I don't...
I'll be there.
Each week, Blockbuster Video picks the hottest new releases and guarantees they'll be there.
Oh. Ah, they're fucking holes. Stop it.
Go home happy. Blockbuster.
This static is definitely fake and inserted. I can tell.
Zima.
Oh yeah, I think I did a VR chat stream there once. What?
Ooh.
What? Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? 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 Wait, hang on. How did it get to his ass that quickly? Cryogenic ass! The newest D&D spell. Fucking cryogenic ass.
Ooh.
A few degrees. Khakis.
It looks like it's gonna hail.
Activates VATS.
Looks like it's
Aims for the crotch with every AP point.
gonna hail.
I forgot how freeze frames look when you're dancing. Hang on. Is this the your character here pose, or is... This is literally a Fallout 4 commercial.
Like it's gonna
It looks like shit. I've done that to someone before, where like I've always been high energy, but I was more of an idiot in like high school. I've just clocked someone in the back of the head with my crotch before trying to vault over them. They kind of just go, "Gah!" Really there? But yeah. Yeah. That's a sentence I've said.
gonna hail.
What is... What is it? Hang on. There we go. That's enough of...
Baby, it looks like it's gonna hail.
Wait, this is actually gonna get copy strike.
Inside, let me teach you how to jive and wheel.
Fucking copyright. The MCA. Oh, more crotch vaulting. It was a Gap commercial. Thigh Gap, am I right? What? Imagine liking that music before you even knew Fallout was a thing. Hi, I'm Verkayat. That's not Fallout music. It's called Big Band.
There'll come a day when you can take your sweet time getting into your own.
Hey, remember when like cell phones and fucking like cameras were actually like cool and crazy and bonkers because no one had figured out what the fuck form factor was yet?
There'll come a day when your photos.
Wait, that's actually fucking dope. Wait.
There'll come a day when you can take your sweet time getting into your own photograph.
That's a fucking remote? And it has a viewfinder on the... Oh, that's cool. Oh, imagine if that had like an exposure thing where you could like take light levels with it and then that could like auto adjust your exposure. I'm a goober. Like you could like, would like auto adjust like your camera's exposure and all that. Imagine how cool that would be. I want this as an asset in VR chat. God, I can't, I'm Why are you so nice to me?
There'll come a day when your photos will be so sharp, everyone will know Cousin Minnie's not really 29.
What?
And there'll come a day when you can bore friends
Yeah.
with vacation pictures. Well,
This is literally just vibing in VR chat.
Fujifilm's
Kitties!
700
Babies!
digital camera.
Look at that! Is such a cool form factor. I could mod VRC lens. I have VRC lens, and that's what I want. I want an FBX of this camera specifically.
Fujifilm's new MX.
Like, cause y'all know, like I am a form factor. It's called thick as fuck. Thank you. Like, look at that. Like, that's like simultaneous. Oh. That's like simultaneously like 90s and like fucking cyberpunk. Cause like Vare's whole thing is she's basically in cyberpunk. That's her lore.
700 digital camera, Smart Endeavor 3500 IX camera, and 35mm.
Oh, those are two different ones.
3 reasons why that day is today.
You know what makes Coors Light special?
Is it piss water?
It's perfect. Almost anywhere. Anywhere.
I said piss water, and then they said almost anywhere.
There's a fan craving a taste of the Rockies, that's where a cold Coors Light belongs. If somewhere an athlete is playing sports and someone else, a fan, is watching him play sports, well then that's where I'll be. Because that's where a frost-brewed Coors Light belongs. Now who wants one?
The man in the
Coors Light. You, sir, in the
cold
black-
piss. The man in the blue sweater is distressed by the information that man will always be wherever he is.
Sir, you, sir, with that putter, put that stick down, pick this
Put that stick down.
beer up.
Landing soon in perfect fashion.
Oh no! Old Navy does not need an Air Force!
Magic? Fashions in the air.
I'm gonna be scrolling a lot, but like... I would kill to have a big, stupid, fuck-off, embellished Old Navy belt buckle like that. Because of just how stupid it is. I would kill to have that. Only the, like, the cheapest, like, shittiest, like, costume diamonds for it. Like, it's bad on purpose.
Magic? Fashions in the air at Old Navy.
First class fashion.
Did you say first class or like S plus?
For me, it's Paris, Milan, and Old Navy.
It's Milan, honey.
Shop there often?
Darling, it's a fashion dynasty.
Is this what the bourgeoisie does? I'm sorry, Burger Word?
Said he was gonna call us, tell us what it feels like.
Clear across America.
No! He said he was gonna call us and tell us what it felt like.
America. The one name people still rely on is Cellular One.
Hello?
That's a mood.
With Snapple's new Win Nothing Instantly game, the desire to win nothing is starting to catch on.
That's like the not funny kind
With
of
over
stupid.
1 million prizes of nothing, like no rant and no fun.
Oh,
to hide
I
in the
get
sample
it.
caps, you'll never look at winning nothing the same way again.
How?
The best stuff is in here.
Victoria's Secret introduces
Wait, what?
A revolutionary space-age fabric is now the sexiest bra in the galaxy. The bra of the future is here today. Angels 2000, only at Victoria's Secret.
Hi, David Hayter. How you doing?
Lights. Cue the sign. Camera.
Hey, Truman! Sorry, can't stop!
Truman.
That's an interesting way to come into a chat, especially when there's moderators all over the place.
In what
I'll
Esquire
assume
magazine
you're
calls
just like me
the
and you're
movie of the
nasty, but just
decade.
keep wouldn't mind there's moderators here. I'll put it that way.
Rated PG. June 5th, everywhere.
It's an Acura 24-valve V6, like the Acura NSX. It's the power sequential multi-port fuel injection, like the NSX. It's four-wheel independent double wishbone suspension, like the NSX. It's comfortable seating for 5, like 2.5 NSXs. It's the TL from Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours.
Oh, he's gonna turn me 2D. Oh god! Oh, I'm safe.
For the play.
They destroyed the laptop instead.
Because the entire Pentium notebook world has just been flattened.
Hello.
By a machine with a chip that's up to twice as fast.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Give me a second, everybody. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And just like that, she disappeared. I don't think, like, I don't know if there's anybody flat in the bean. I don't think anybody here is ready for what's about to happen. Thank you. I can't show beans right now! BTS. I will show beans after. I think you'll be at Them's titties. Hi. What's the... There we go. Posting the video. I don't have beans in 2D, okay? You'll see why in a moment, why that's doubly true. Oh. Clap. Oh. So no beans? Sir. Why? Wait, hang on. Yeah, I used to be a live 2D. I used to be a whole live 2D. Oh, hush up with your own. Oh, I'm gonna be. Oh, what do I have on this thing? Ah! Oh, it's spin a bit. Hang on. Oh, I'm armless. That's good enough. Yeah, this is old. And stop with your own though. I guess I'm controlling the device, which so the reason this is even here now, don't tickle you. Okay, hang on. I actually have to remember what the scenes are. You know what, everybody? We're gonna take an intermission, and I'm going to make a comfy scene. Hey, take away the arms. Take away the. Oh, hi. Those are my tits. Hi. I don't remember how to do this anymore. Okay. Is it? No. There we go. Okay. Okay, everybody. We're gonna make a scene together, okay? We're gonna cause a scene together. Is something I have said before. Hey! Feiger! Thank you so much, hun. Okay, everybody. So... Of course we're getting the cute blanket. And we're gonna put it up here. Chaos! And then double click. And then... Oh, I have so many assets for this thing, and I need to use it more. I think that's good. I don't think I need the wine mom wine and the definitely doesn't have a hangover sunglasses, mom glasses. Okay, back to it. I'm stuck like this for at least 30 minutes. Oh god, that song. Oh, Jesus! Wait, did you just say sack? Feet!
At the Attic Vintage Clothing Store in Las Vegas, the only thing that's
oh, these commercials are from Vegas?
is using American Express. So bring your Visa card. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Oh god.
Introducing new
penis
Jolly
music
Jellies
sounds.
from Jolly Rancher. Sweet and fruity, tart and tangy. Same intense fruit taste.
I'm a tart. I mean, hang on. I'm turning my subtitles on. Oh no! Get out of here, Bing! You're the new fucking Internet Explorer. You're only used to install something else. Abra. Awa wa wa wa. Awa wa wa wa. Awa wa wa wa. Awa wa wa wa. Oh, wa wa wa. No! Just stop it. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna be real, chat. I'm kind of glad this is my last stream for the week. I'm kind of fried.
But Jolly Jellies are soft and springy.
Yo, I want the Jolly Jelly. Give me the Jolly Jelly. Give me the Jolly Jelly, please. Give me your Jolly Jelly. Give me your Jolly Jelly.
You know, man, I think we're lost.
Don't worry, Mr. Henry.
Don't
worry,
across
Mr.
America,
Henry. I
the one
found this
name people
clock.
still rely on is Cellular One.
That's a good scout.
Fuck yeah, butt rock. Oh. Did you just take a bite out of that rag? Gross. Don't. Honey.
There's only 1 mile.
Hey! Perfect timing too, Osprey. Hello.
This is one of the most painful experiences of my life. They're promoting you.
Captain Riggs.
Captain Merkel.
On July 10th. Think you can stay with trouble?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Osprey.
Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Joe Pesci, Renee.
I'm good. I lost to the dimension but gained antlers.
You have the right to get an attorney. If you get Johnny Cochran, I'll kill you.
A Richard Donner film.
What?
This film is not yet rated.
Starts Friday.
Cool. Ha 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 ha.
July 10th.
Ha 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 ha. Police brutality. Ha ha ha. Hey,
A new
Cap.
feature has just been added to the new Nissan Altima's already startling array of standard features and amenities. Something that makes
Taxi.
its exceptional quality and craftsmanship even more exceptional. And while you'll find it built into every new Nissan Altima, it won't be
Mwah.
built in for long. 1.9% APR financing for a limited time at your Nissan retailer.
Stop by aisle 5 for Clairol's Herbal Essences.
Oh.
It takes you where no shampoo is
Gone before with
Oh my god, it's full of hallucinogens.
in pure mountain water.
Hey, what you doing, girl? Hey, I don't think you're just taking a shower.
If you think that's great, try the body wash.
Clairol's
Thank you for riding.
Great job.
Organic Experience.
A truly organic experience.
The VHS tapes for this episode have been brought to you by Telehell, the only podcast.
If this is a baked-in mid-roll, I'm pissed. Okay, I'm pissed. That's a fucking baked-in mid-roll. Fuck off. LSD Ship, it's time to say goodbye to something that holds a special place in our hearts. This is 1998, and it's the New York skyline. It's 1998, and it's the New York skyline. Wait! No! 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 I was making a joke! Don't one-up my joke! Jesus! No! It's no! No!
Tell me that's not another parade.
I don't think that's a parade.
How close
Oh, it's Godzilla.
did you get to the thing?
Oh, it's the bad Godzilla.
I got pretty close.
Godzilla. Rated PG-13.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no. I was gonna make an extremely cynical joke, but then they made the joke for me, and I'm like, oh.
Special first showings May 19th. Vern is taking Hulu
What am I doing? Oh, Vern.
lessons. Vern wants Edna to think he's excited.
I like this animation style. It's cute. I hate that it reminds me of medication commercials, and that's the one thing it reminds me of. And why is Megamind in the background? What is Megamind doing here? It is 1998. Why is Megamind here? Megamind, what the fuck? Explain yourself. This is Vera when she's sick. She doesn't lose much energy, but she gets weirder than she already was.
So Vern invites Edna to a luau. Oh,
wait, no! No!
No, Edna wants something tasty and healthy. Yum, Garden Burger, the burger with no meat. Edna squeals with delight. Look, Vern is putting on his grass skirt. Edna wonders when all the other guests will arrive. Discover Garden Burger, all natural, really tasty, end of story. Because eating good just got great.
Today, a breath of fresh air blew into the NBA when
I swear to God, if this is another breakdown ad, I'm gonna be pissed.
He was different. He played with such emotion. It's very simple.
I play a lot of stuff with emotion. I'm on HRT.
Before he played, you could get seats. That's why they call him what they do. The great thing about life is you never know what you might want to do next. With the American Express card, it can be anything you like.
Why was that? I don't understand the music. Hi. What?
Are rich people taller than the rest of us?
What? Woo! 3 months. I'm on month 9. I'm, as a big girl, not just voluptuous, but also like, after 9 months of HRT, I've lost an inch and I'm 6'3" now. What the fuck do you mean are rich people taller than the rest of us? Are you just trying to sell long wheelbase cars?
Are their loved ones more deserving of an airbag? Was the sun created solely for their enjoyment?
No, but they think it was.
Are we the only car company that doesn't think so? Century by Buick. Full of amenities for under $20,000. Loaded for under $24,000. Century by Buick. A luxury car for everyone.
Okay.
Hey, check this out. Before you color your hair, stop and look at...
Cease.
this. It's Clairol's new Nice and Easy Rich Conditioning Color Cream, and it's absolutely amazing.
Are we just not going to address the
It
fact that
doesn't
she's a
drip.
chronomancer?
The incredible thing is, now the conditioner travels with the color, deeper inside the hair. Her color's so radiant.
I
so
wish I was
healthy,
small.
So drop
Like,
gorgeous. You won't just
I'll put it this way. I am coming to terms with the fact that I will always be quite tall. But now that doesn't destroy me anytime I think about it. It's just like, oh, okay. A lot of people are into that. Cool. I'm kind of just apathetic about it instead of, like, super, like, destroyed by it. Anyway.
see it. You'll feel it. It's the new Nice and Easy from Clairol. Stop
Yeah.
Upstairs, the management guru is talking about vision and thinking outside the box. Except you're the shipping manager. It's your job to think about the box.
What?
So you turn to UPS. Because
I think
now
about
only
boxes all the
UPS
time. I'm
guarantees
pansexual.
a day of delivery for every ground package you ship to any business address, coast to coast. Suddenly, options open, paradigm shift, and it's time for a
I used to super not be okay with being tall, but now I'm, like, fine with it, to the point where a lot of my avatars are my actual height again. Because, like, it's kind of a triple whammy of a lot of things. It's the dysphoria, it's, me bluntly being a sub. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it that, some of them I can't get into on stream, but yeah, it's... Yeah, I don't... Basically, having any form of a perceived authority breaks my brain. I'll put it that way, in a not fun way.
seminar of your own. Introducing Guaranteed Ground, only from UPS.
Ups!
On today's rough roads, if you ever need to stop quickly,
Melons.
consider replacing your worn shock absorbers. It can be like getting an extra 10 feet of road when you need it most. Replace
No,
your worn shocks
don't-
with new Monroe Sensatrack.
Don't
Now with
TF
safety.
the road
Worn
longer.
shocks, Sensatrack helps hold your tire to the road. Tests show you can stop an average of 10 feet sooner. Monroe Sensatrack, making the road a safer place. For the Monroe Sensatrack dealer
Oh, wow,
near you,
this-
call 1-888-SAFER-RIDE.
So...
Monday, it's the Susan finale with a glow-in-the-dark wedding. I want
Uppies? I'm always good for Uppies. Let him die by DeMelons.
Mommy's here.
Me when I TF the road.
Plus, it's the moment everyone's been waiting for.
So,
between Susan
VTube
and
Studio
Jack.
now... Oh,
And
look.
it's the Caroline
Gratuitous
season finale with a big
heteronormativity.
Richard and Julia breakup. No bull.
This has... VTube
There's
Studio
no
has
bull, but
NVIDIA
it's
Broadcast
true.
now, if you have, like, a
Caroline
30
and
series
Richard will
card.
finally be together.
And it's,
time.
actually,
The
like,
Wild season
tracking
finale with
how,
Susan and
like,
Caroline
EP I
Monday
am,
on
and,
NBC.
like, how just nonplussed I am by most of these ads. Oh, it's me right now, but not because of Alan. Kitties! Give me the babies! Do not close the door. Welcome them in. Give them all pets. Pet them all.
So, an allergy.
I would kill to live in a house like that.
Remember the power of Zyrtec. In studies, drowsiness was the most common side.
Kerotsuki, welcome on in. How you doing?
Senator Jimmy Bulwer thought he was ending it all.
I'm not dead by Monday morning. I'm going to stop payment on that check.
Instead, it was the beginning of a whole new life.
People got the problems, the has and the have-nots, but the ones that make me listen pay for 30-second spots.
That was... Do not.
Bulworth is the most intelligent
Do not.
comedy of the decade.
That was the worst I've ever seen.
Savagely funny.
Senator took your cup.
Oh, this is
And furious
bad. This is bad.
Bulworth, rated R. New York and Los Angeles tomorrow, May 22nd, everywhere.
That, oh.
Cake, but I'd need the mix.
It's in the box.
The frosting?
It's in the box.
I want brownies
pan?
so
It's
bad.
in the box.
Give in to Betty Crocker's easiest mix.
I'll always give in to Betty Crocker, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
It's
good
your
luck.
own little
Oh.
road. You're way up high, so you can see everything. It has lots of places to hide your treasures. It's roomy. It's cozy, with space for all your favorite things and your favorite people.
Did they just put
It
a
makes you
TV
feel
remote
like
in
you're
that?
part of a club. Dodge Caravan. It's like a treehouse.
Oh, and
for
it
grown-ups.
floats?
Dodge and Connecticut members get up to $2,000 cash back on Dodge Caravan.
It's Rosie on Ice. Baby
Oh, no.
Plus the Indian Planet. Thanks, Rose.
Welcome to the final night of Seinfeld. The final episode begins in just 45 minutes.
DeLorean for soccer moms? I mean... Yeah? Aggressively slap bases at you. But, like, maliciously. Is this just a compilation of Seinfeld moments? And then the weird wet noises at the end of the intro? Sleep well, hon. Sleep well. Eat good.
Presto, it's loaded. Now take super shots in 3 different sizes. Have you seen all the houses? From Canon.
Only one retriever can hunt for houses. The new personal retriever from Coldwell Banker Online.
I want that
daily
PC.
For homes matching your profile.
I want the
Embrace
dog
them to
PC.
your email. Tell it what you want.
Give me the dog
It'll go
PC.
fetch.
Thank
Coldwell
you.
Banker.
I appreciate it,
Making
hon.
real estate real easy.
I want the dog PC. Chicky tendies!
Wendy's introduces the most delicious combination ever put in a chicken sandwich. Our new honey ham and chicken.
Hey, Jerry, when you finish the show, come on over. I made 2.
Come on over.
The NBA playoffs continue on NBC this weekend.
See me in the green room after the commercial's done.
Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, Pacers Bulls. The NBA playoffs this weekend.
I grossed myself out with that.
Gene Shalit, the Today Show, calls Quest for Camelot exciting and enchanting. Woo! Happily ever after entertainment.
Wait! Core memory unlocked. I watched this as a kid. So much. Wow. Okay, wow.
Quest for Camelot, rated G, starts Friday, May 15th at a theater near you.
Is there a problem? Well, it's the road up there.
Oh my god. It's Ron Swanson.
Wet, slippery, sharp curves. Never know what's going to pop up in front of you. Go ahead. Well, what
Is this the guy that, like, cemented himbo just being, like, an established, like, trope in media? Like, in, like, TV media? Kronk! Yes, much better. Kronk. I love Kronk. Kronk is good. Kronk is good. Kronk is life.
about him? Yeah, he's got Stabilotrack.
The all-new Seville STS with Stabilotrack. The world's most
whatever.
advanced integrated stability
Whatever.
control
I'm not
system.
gonna question.
It's not just new, it's what's next.
Gonna let me go? I'm sorry, I was lost in the moment.
The all-new
He was
Seville STS.
fantasizing
It's
about the
what's
shock
next.
absorbers. It's like, oh. He's actually dropping trow. You thought it was a furry commission, but it wasn't. It was real Oh, it was a furry commission.
Shouldn't your machines do what you ask?
Are we having a communication problem?
Me at OBS every 5 seconds.
Shouldn't your machines
Me at
do what you
OBS
ask?
every 5 seconds.
Communication problem here. Dan. Please open email.
This is me just begging the Twitch API to be stable for at least an entire stream. Just begging, groveling on my knees. Just please work, please work, please.
Why put up with dumb machines when you can have smart ones? Image Anywhere from Canon, the new paradigm for the
Terminators
digital
came
workplace.
from photocopiers.
Bond. James Bond.
Oh my.
Grab a friend. Hit the gas. And hold your breath. Tomorrow Never Dies is now available to go. Only on video.
Hello, I would like some espionage to go, please.
There faithfully, every Thursday night, year after year. Should the pain of separation be more than you can bear?
What?
There's always Advil.
What?
Here's to the crazy ones.
Hi.
The rebels.
Hi.
The troublemakers.
Hi.
The ones who see things differently.
Hi.
While some may see them as the crazy ones.
Hi.
We see genius.
I'm not a genius, though.
Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world.
I'm just fucking crazy.
Are the ones who do.
Fuck off, Apple.
With the taste of your lips, I'm on.
Bluntly, no, fuck off, Apple. You're a corporation. Fuck off. Brain. 80s commercials now. 1987 commercials. Let's see. Steve Jobs is a bitch. Motley, hello, cutie. How you doing? I thought that said Raisin Brain. I'm like, that's just me. I'm Raisin Brain. No,
McDonald's prison.
Jesus! Wait, what? Why are we grabbing Motley? Why are we grabbing Motley and not Vare?
Presents? Did someone say presents?
No! Get away from me!
Wow,
Ah!
special delivery. I'll look for the present.
Ah, no!
When you buy your kids
Please,
a Donald Happy
Kermit,
Meal
get
featuring
away
Muppet
from
Babies, they get a Muppet Babies figure.
I
with a
only
push
like-
toy different Muppet Babies can share.
Yay,
Plus
I'm being
neat
grabbed.
cutouts on the box.
Kermit, surf's up.
McDonald's Happy
Kermit surfs up! One, I love your name. Would you rather have the power to control games with your mind, or would you rather every time you touch anything electric device, it charge fully 100%? I mean, I already like your brain sends the electrical impulses to your nerves, which moves your hands, which makes you do the thing. I don't know, charge me up, baby. I want the fucking electrical power. So welcome on
Meal
in, Professor
featuring
Lost.
Muppet
How you
Babies.
doing?
Collect all 4.
Including one.
And thank you so much for the follow.
You make me laugh. I like the funny things you do. You got a style that's all your own. I like
Oh, that's not a toss-friendly question. That's not a toss-friendly question. Let's move on from that. Everybody here knows me. They know the answer. Lanran,
Great job.
welcome, Han.
Get up and stretch, you gremlin!
Yeah, calm down. I mean, like, I'm a nasty bitch, but toss exists. Hello, Lanran. Voltorb! 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 How am I doing? I'm sick as fuck and not exactly coherent, so I'm just gonna be a little shit and say Renamon. You know what? You just circle gamed me with your icon. I'm like angry, but also proud. I'm very sick, but yeah, I'm doing as good as I can. Also, everybody, we are currently raising money for the Trans Empowerment Project. We have a couple days. We have a couple. Enjoy your whatever you're doing, Heartburn. I hope it's good. Thank you. We are raising money for the Trans Empowerment Project. Our current goal is $6,000. 969.69 dollars. I'm not coherent enough to have a speech for this. If you have money that you could spend, give it to charity. Oh, I'm sorry, Motley. That's a mood. That's why I shave in the shower. Like, I'll put it this way. That part of my genetics is basically weaponized against me every other day. Smooth, yes. I get really bad, really bad chest dysphoria. And, body hair doesn't help with that. I'll put it that way. There is a reason I shave in the shower and avoid looking at mirrors all the time. Jesus! Oh, what you doing?
Sprite, the only one with Lyman. The unexpected twist that makes us different. Lively.
Did you just say fucking Lyman? I'm a green border collie, and that still upsets me.
Special.
I like the Sprite in you. Domino's Pizza delivers quality, so you can avoid the Noid. We keep the Noid out.
Oh my God!
And all the quality in.
He's a freedom fighter, run!
We avoid the Noid. So for hot, delicious
You're
pizza
not.
like this,
Maybe you
call Domino's
gotta
Pizza now.
avoid the
In less
Noid.
than 30 minutes, Domino's Pizza delivers.
Oh my God, he got flattened.
Wednesday on Cheers. What's the secret of Sam's appeal?
He holds the world's record for stuffing beer nuts up his nose.
I thought that was going somewhere else.
Run for your lives, girls!
Then on St. Elsewhere,
I won't get Barbara.
the Craigs fight to keep their granddaughter.
Come home Wednesday.
Hi, man, in my
Commercial alert!
I hate you.
Yeah, come on, guys, let's catch some rays. Hey, how about over here? No, there are no chicks over here. Hey, check out the new Diet Coke machine. Gee, nice look. Hey, I could go for a soft drink now. Me too.
I like the
Hey,
penguins.
Arthur, what do they got?
I like the penguins a lot.
Diet Coke, and Diet Coke.
Do they have little bow ties? Are they like me with my current collar?
100% NutraSweet. 1 calorie, just for
They
the
got
taste
cute
of
little
it.
bows on their collar too.
Oh, gee, I left my wallet in my other suit. What always
I actually adore this commercial.
If your kid starts quacking,
What?
don't worry. He's just excited about the DuckTales video sweepstakes from Jell-O Gelatin and Walt Disney Home Video. Jell-O's giving away 10,000 of the
I'm
newest DuckTales cassettes. So pick up an
terrified.
entry form where you buy Jell-O Gelatin or DuckTales videos. And
Oh,
don't
it's Bill
worry when your
Cosby.
kid does
Fuck
this.
off. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
He's just excited about the DuckTales video sweepstakes.
Consent is hot, consent is mandatory. All I'll say about that.
Get yourself set up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya.
The taste is gonna move you for about 0.5 femtoseconds, and then it's gonna be
When
gone.
you pop it in your mouth, juicy fruit is gonna move ya. It juices up, it gets right to ya.
I would kill for her hair.
The taste is gonna move ya.
Reintroducing
You want a
Kellogg's
TF into a
Rice
juicy fruit?
Krispies, now with more energy-releasing B vitamins.
Why
in it.
is the Rice
Part of a good
Krispie so
breakfast that can help
fucking
get you going.
saturated?
Excuse me. Rice Krispies with more B vitamins.
Did
It
you
can help
just
get
let your
some
own
get
food
up and
escape
go.
you?
Oh boy. Rice Krispies with more B vitamins.
Bro, you're
If you need a
letting the
little
cereal
snap, crackle
brat
pop
you.
in
What's
your
going
morning.
on?
Aha. Oh, for crying out loud.
I don't like the slight pitch down on the man's voice. That scares me for some reason. I don't know why. Hey, yo, can I have your like hypercolor pink arm warmers for? Please, please.
Now you can see me
why
on
did I-
Monday night and
What?
Saturday morning. What's so funny?
A renegade Vulcan.
I must have your starship.
I must steal your vehicle.
A forgotten past.
Spock,
It would appear that you've been given a second chance to join me. What do you say?
Spock, my only concern was getting the ship back. You're either with me or you're not.
A test of loyalty.
Shoot him! I ordered you to defend your ship.
You ordered me to kill my brother. Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. Rated PG.
Was that one of the good Star Trek
at
movies?
theaters everywhere.
Or was it not?
Smile.
Girl, I want your hair so bad.
35 millimeter?
Just, I just.
You just dropped the film in. It almost loads
So
itself. Then
Vare, yeah, Vare has like.
Baby picture?
Vare has 2 settings. Also, I can gain a dimension back. Vare has 2 settings. Comfy 80s nostalgia of just being a girl in the 80s. And mean cyberpunk bitch with a shotgun. Those are the 2 settings that she has. Like, yeah, hi, yeah? Okay, fair. Okay, fair. Fair. I totally don't have an OC that's named Ripley for very obvious reasons. Actually, Ripley Owens is, I'd smooch my Sona Ripley. Anywho. Hi, I forgot that I was on camera for a second. Have y'all seen Ripley? Do I have a Ripley VRM? Hang on. Hang on. We're gonna find out. Welcome to the void of looking for a stupid VRM. Where would that be? There's Azimuth. Ooh, my voice don't sound so hot. Not in there. M-O-Q. Oh, there's pictures from when I went to a, heckin' wolf-like reserve there. VRMs! Oh, there's... a lot of keyboard smash. There's a lot of keyboard smash. I will put it that way. You know what? I'm just gonna do the stupid thing and just search Ripley. Cool. What? Okay, if I don't find it in the next couple of seconds, I'm gonna... There's Seba Douglas. Well... What? What? What do you mean, hello? Oh, I see what's going on. I'll find them later. I'll put it that way. Oh god. Am I like stuck looking for an avatar now? Did I break it? Yeah, I broke it. Fuck. Oh wait, no I didn't. Be on the desktop? I know there's just a void, don't worry. I'm giving one more once over. I see Ricky, not Ripley. Oh god, I'm not feeling so hot. Okay, nope. We're just gonna switch over to there, and then we're gonna get comfy and heckin'. I am so glad y'all can't see my Telegram right now. Oh, wow. Just chat. Hey, come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. Blah. There we go. We will pick the Tosca that looks literally like my grandmother. And I do not mean that in a bad way at all. My grandmother is delightful. I care my grandmother. My grandmother has no idea I am trans, but whatever. Basically, they're never gonna find out. Which probably isn't the best decision, but eh. So chat, we're probably gonna go for at most like 3 hours, and then I'm just gonna not pass out, but just zonk or like hop into the chat with some friends.
I've asked you out hundreds of times.
But that was a hopeless cause.
Next after Al.
And I ain't living with you anymore.
You're lying. They were a family torn
You're
apart.
lying.
You ain't one to be telling me how to live.
Until they opened their hearts to the meaning of love.
I'm gonna take care of you.
Jason Robards, Jane Alexander, Rob Lowe, and Winona Ryder in a triumphant story of a family reunited. Home is where the heart is tonight.
Once your children leave home, there's no telling what evil lurks. Which is why we suggest you arm them with snack-sized diamond mini packs. One cup is small enough to fit in a child's pocket.
No thanks.
Delicious enough to fight off.
Yo, he's fucking strapped.
And because it's pure Dannon yogurt, you'll know your child's in good hands.
A yogurt at the ready with a fucking spoon in the chamber. What the
in
fuck?
snack-sized mini packs.
Hi, I'm Dave Letterman. Join me this week from Las Vegas. It's beautiful this time of year, isn't it?
What?
It's quite nice. It actually reminds me a little like Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, so join us.
They were like, yeah.
Think small. New.
Hi. What? Hello. Hi.
Only Burger King for a limited time.
Burger King. You can't just do that. You cannot just do that.
Look, Ma, no hands. Burger King, the best food for fast times.
Hi,
if you don't see green on your storage bag, you could see red all over your refrigerator.
Thought I'd closed it.
Well, sometimes it's hard to tell.
But you can
If you don't
tell.
see green
With
on a
Gladlock
bag, they're gonna
bags.
kill
when
somebody?
the yellow and blue make green, you can see
that.
it.
For sure.
Gladlock storage and freezer bags. Introducing Gladlock sandwich bags. So no matter where you take your sandwich, you know it'll be fresh when you get there. Don't get mad. Get Gladlock.
I love the scent. This is me when I'm dehydrated and hop out of VR chat.
Be warned. You can run, but you can't hide. From Unsolved Mysteries, Wednesday.
What? Abba? Oh look, heteronormativity. Hi, I want your jacket and top, please. Those look fucking hella.
Drink in the sun. There's only one. Sun-kissed. Regular or diet. Go on. Drink it in.
Drinking.
It's your call. You can enjoy
I want
the
food.
baked quality from Domino's Pizza, or take.
I
your
ate, but I
chances
want food.
with
Fuck off, Noid!
You can have pizza made to your order, or
You what? What?
famous 30
I
minute
forgot like
delivery,
how successful the Noid was.
you can taste the quality from Domino's Pizza. So avoid the Noid. Domino's Pizza delivers. Call now.
There's someone exciting inside you.
Well, I would hope they're not boring.
And her eyes are a different color.
As a trans girl, shut up.
There's someone special inside you.
There's someone special inside me? Neat.
And Durasoft Colors Con. These lenses can change your eye color to hers, even if you have perfect vision.
Stop! This is just a big fucking metaphor for HRT. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! I get it. I'm trans. I'm already out. You don't have to remind me. Why is it? No, don't call it Durasoft. No!
Make your eye color a Durasoft color.
Battery.
Because there's some...
Me, as I watch Unity hard crash, processing that maybe what I just did to my avatar wasn't the best decision. And realizing that about 6 hours of work just went down the drain. And just sit there and watch. It's like, huh. Hang on. Perfect.
Special inside you.
Me when I accept that the rage from the thing crashing is valid. Ah! Why did that scare me? Why did that scare me? It's like a shitty fucking, like, made-for-TV sci-fi movie effect on her eyes. Why did it scare me? It was the right layer after all, and the power flows through you, and it reflects in your eyes as you realize that you are, in fact, the god of layer checking and saving your project when you need to, and that you don't shrimp, and that they're wrong. They're wrong. Hang on, I needed to get a full screen screenshot of those meme level subtitles.
Let her have a little fun.
What? Huh? Hello? Hi? Hi? What? Hi? Hi? What? Milk.
Everybody knows how to do that kick, health kick. You're looking good.
Hey, hey. Chat, I need some help with something.
Do that kick, health kick.
Can you find this GIF with the background that just is a transparency, please? Please, chat? I'm not gonna do anything bad with it. I promise. She said, lying.
You're looking good when you do that kick, health kick. You pour a glass of milk real tall.
Nope. Just let the video play, Bear.
Come on, everybody, do that kick, health kick, do that kick. Come on, everybody, do that kick.
I love that his version of the health kick apparently is just writhing. Apparently, it's just writhing around.
America's favorite health kick, milk. Everybody do that kick. America's favorite health.
Hang on. Actually, chat, I do need you to clip this first soundbite for me, please. Are you ready? I need the terrifyingly abrupt milk. Are you ready?
Come on, everybody, do that kick. America's favorite health kick, milk.
Tonight.
Join the Facts of Life girls for their wildest adventure.
They just killed a man. They just killed a man.
Facts of Life Down Under tonight.
Here is the tea that refreshes right with the fruity taste of Crystal Light. All NutraSweet, just 4 calories. Decaffeinated Crystal Light fruit tea, the tea that got fruit taste. Right.
It's new. 14 calories.
Remember when shit used to have a jingle associated with it, and it wasn't just, here's our product, fucking buy it.
Because you're keeping fit, you've earned it.
Wait, they made popsicles?
Let it begin. Let your best come through.
I legitimately need that outfit for Ver. Just the fucking the big Oxford, the fucking black pants, black vest, the fucking hat. I would rock the fuck out of that. I would wear that IRL.
Clean, clear, glowing skin.
And they'd be like, hey girl, you wearing the outfit for the Noxima commercial in the 80s? And I'd be like, fuck yeah, I am. Thanks for noticing. I put work into this outfit. Fuck yeah. I'm very sick. Beard's getting weird. Bear's getting sick weird.
Let me see. And by the way, those of you with real jobs, please ignore this message.
Live at 5 and late night. Now that's personality.
Wow! What's new?
They made a fucking cat noise.
Broiled mini cheeseburgers. Only at Burger
I
King.
want food. Wait, when did they made fucking Crystal's burgers at fucking Burger King?
Guys. But get them while you can, because they won't be around.
They made the shit. We have a cookout with your grandparents, so we need to get some fucking food. Fucking go to Walmart and pick these shits up, please.
The best food for fast
They made those?
We're here at New York Lottery's instant cash scratch-off with millions of dollars in instant cash prizes. You know, Jan, players can win up to $1,000 cash.
And Bob, we're talking more cash.
Well, now I gotta...
Hello. From the deepest corner of your mind, you already know. For I exist within all.
Dream Deck on his arm.
I am Fushigi Freak, aka Contact Lord.
Flashing images warning. Fucking Orbulus Raymond. So, if you ever see me in anybody's chat say Orbulus Raymond, it's because of this idiot that Wayne Radio TV made. Ultimate rotation. I'm upset that this is actually the type of music I listen to. Fuck off, Wayne. The Dangler. Hi. Wait. I just can't get over that he has the fucking Stream Deck to strap to his arm. A 10-act play. Okay, we're done. This is 14 minutes long.
McDonald's presents...
Summertime, serving up summertime.
Serving up a hot time summer at McDonald's.
Okay, no, you know what? No. If I'm gonna go full goober, we're gonna 10-minute power hour. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. So what version of hell do you want? Do you want Halloween costume hell? Do you want bottle flipping hell? Do you want... No, I'm picking for you. I'm sorry.
Are you rolling?
What do you think, Aaron?
I don't know. I never know.
Welcome to the 10-minute power hour.
We're looking
everybody.
at stuff on the thing, and I thought you were still adjusting. But
Where are our scissors? Where are the scissors for the...
This is unacceptable.
We can't start the show unless they're like everything's perfect.
This is every friend. This is like every friend duo dynamic.
Or unless
like,
it just disappears.
This is every friend best friend dynamic ever. Especially the weirdly gay parts.
Oh my god.
That sounded bad, but you know what I mean. Like if you're comfy enough around someone to like, well, make this face for one. And also just like joke around like that and you're not gay or like and you're not queer or anything. Y'all are pretty good friends. Also, good for you for not having this any weird fucking toxic masculinity about it. Also, hi, I'm a proponent of the smooch your friends rule. Anyway, I'm sick.
What are we doing today, Aaron?
Man, I don't fucking know. What are we doing today?
Apparently, from what you told me before, it is for the new year, New Year's resolution, exercising things. You got them over by you.
I just think about it all the time now.
What's that?
The song.
Listen, I'm the kind of sick where I've been flushing out an OC all day. My brain is that like bonkers right now.
There's a whole bucket. Look at this shit. There's a whole bucket full of.
There's tons of stuff here.
Full of get fit quick schemes.
Okay, so we're gonna absolutely do these.
Wow, look at all this stuff. What do you want to start with?
Okay, well.
That's a classic.
This is a classic Thigh Master. I'll demonstrate.
Okay.
So Suzanne Summers used to do infomercials on this all the time.
Didn't she make the?
Let's clear this.
Didn't she make the like hoodie scarf thing that we did?
Yes, she did. She's been a busy
Yeah,
lady.
Chad, we're gonna have to cut it off at 3.
Bam.
Fuck, do it again.
And then you just crush the thighs.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Sorry.
Did that burn?
No.
3 hours.
Wait, not so easy, is it?
It's really hard to
Charity
keep. I think it's like keeping it stable. That's the hardest part.
Yeah,
I just want
Thank
it
you,
to slip
Motley.
away.
It's the
I'm also
Tosca
afraid
Rex.
this part's gonna pinch my nuts.
Yeah, that was a fear of mine.
100% nut pincher.
I've got 12 friends. I see them
Thank you, I appreciate
every
it.
day. Hey, friend.
I hope this is funny because your ass is like right in my
It's
face.
really funny to me, but that doesn't mean it's actually
the
funny.
sauna suit. Activate, shape, and burn. Is this just a fucking garbage
pants.
bag you
Yeah,
put on?
this is literally just garbage bag pants.
Okay, so
And then that's the shirt.
do you want to put this on?
No.
Okay. Well.
Okay, after this episode, we're gonna rate Biffin. Or yeah, we're gonna
What do
rate
you think?
Biffin.
Is this what we want? Is this what? Is this right?
We didn't get 2, so I guess we'll have to just.
Yeah. So the idea is that you work out in this,
Aaron,
and it promotes heat retention, muscle
Honey.
warmth, and perspiration. So it makes you sweat more because you're in a fucking garbage bag.
Can you pull this up, please?
Where? How?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm the workout mom. He looks like my freaking Koodalin. Hang on. 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 Please hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang out with me. Hang on. That is just her whole crotch. Meh. Spot the difference! Thanks. They make me sweat so much. This is going to break me. Just yeah. Hi there. You know what? No, I'm gonna be part of their video now. There we go. I'm weird sick. No.
Oh, sorry.
My foot.
I'm gonna do 1,500 squats. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Woo! I broke my pants. Oh, I ripped them. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
What? Yeah. That is a full rip. I think I saw something for the nose and mouth in there.
And also, the temperature's warm. Mouth.
Slim mouthpiece. What the fuck?
I think it's made for, this
basic.
Is fully
you know what?
Japanese.
No. We're gonna go ahead and raid Fifum. Sorry everybody, but I'm basically incoherent, which means I legitimately do not need to be on camera because, like, chickens toss. Yeah, I'm gonna get comfy and rest. Everybody, we go say hi to Blue Dog. Blue Dog is a good. Filthamut. Not Fifthumut. Thumut. Go say hi. Is the raid showing up? Because it's not showing up. Wait, hang on. Yeah, is the raid showing up? Please let me know. Because I can't see it. Oh, God. Slash raid. Wait, I know why. There we go. There we go. Slash raid. Yes, I know the channel. Blue Dog. Good Blue Dog. I swear to fucking shit. Filth. The mutt. There we go. Okay. Everybody, Fifum is a dear friend of mine. Fifum is bluntly the reason I am so comfortable being myself. Go say hi to Fifum. Fifum is good. Fifum is arguably more chaotic than me. Go say hi. I'm gonna go fall asleep on the couch. Yeah, always happy to stream.